Hey guys, here to do another episode of Casket Conversations. This is gonna be a little bit of a shorter episode. I've only got three topics that I really want to talk about. The first being like that New Line wants to do like a horror version of Wizard of Oz or some horror and the Land of Oz. That's interesting. The second one is all this controversy over LeFou and Beauty and the Beast, and this now new addition to it all with this theater in Alabama, which we'll get into that. And then at last, I want to talk more about Logan. I went and saw the movie earlier today, and I just really want to talk about this movie a lot more than I did in both of my reviews, which are up on the channel as well. So let's get into the first topic a little bit. This may or may not be a long episode like it normally is. It might be a little bit shorter. I don't know. Just bear with me. I'm not going to drag this out any further than I need to. So yeah, the first one, which I just found about it today, New Line wants to do, I guess, like a horror movie in the realm of Oz. Now, the people that know me personally and the people that are around me know that I tend to be very critical of older movies and older films. I'm not really a fan of black and white films and things like that. Like the more campy or cheesy acting or over the top. I don't mind over the top acting when it's over the top on purpose. Like if it's like Spaceballs, like if it's parody or spoof or things like that. But, there was a certain style of acting back in the day, and I never really had much interest in partaking of that kind of things. However, The Wizard of Oz has always been one of my favorite movies. I love The Wizard of Oz. I'm one of the weird guys that, when they came out with the, I forget what they call it, but when they just re-released it like in the green DVD case like several years ago, I went to Walmart and bought it for I think like $13 or whatever it was, just because I had to have this movie on DVD. And I love it. I love The Wizard of Oz. I also really enjoy Return to Oz, which I wish they would re-release on DVD or Blu-ray. So the World of Oz, and I haven't seen the one with why can't I think of his name? James Franco. I haven't seen that one yet, but I hear it's good, or tolerable at the very least, but I haven't seen it yet, so I can't speak on that one. But as far as the first two movies, or the first movies in the realm of Oz, I really enjoy. I love the story. I even love The Wiz. So anything in this world I think would be cool. And Return to Oz was a very creepy. There were some parts in this movie, like the whole thing isn't creepy. But there's like at least two scenes in that movie that are very, very different. Let's just put it that way. It's very, very different. So I think the World of Oz is prime land to try to do something scary with. I think it'll depend on the director and the team writing the story, and I think it will depend on the actors you get to portray characters. Are they going to stick to the trope of having Dorothy? Are they going to try something different? All these things will factor in on my excitement and what I think moving forward. But in general, I am very, very, very excited for this because, I am someone over the last 2 years that has gotten more into horror, and I am widening my horizon, and this is definitely something that piques my interest. I really can't wait. Like I said, you find the right team, and this could be something really special. But if you don't give it care, and it ends up turning into a situation like the whole Friday the 13th fiasco, well, then that's completely different. And that's kind of what I'm afraid of will happen with this. But, we'll have to wait and see. For now, I will give them the benefit of the doubt of being able to get it off the ground and get something going. This did not take a long time to talk about at all. So this is definitely probably going to be a shorter episode. The next topic that I want to talk about is, and I had it pulled up, and I don't know why I closed it out, but I had the A article up that talked about the LeFou thing. Let me get it back up because I don't want to misquote anything. Now, there were several sites that came up that were talking about this. The link that I'm going to link down below and the one that I'm looking at right now, because I will put this link in the description so that you can read it as well. But the site that I'm reading at is page 6. So if you don't want to wait, and you want to go ahead and click the link and read along with me, feel free, it's whatever. So it says here that a movie theater in Alabama is refusing to screen Beauty and the Beast after it was revealed that one of the film's major characters is gay. That is basically word for word the very first line. Now, in this article, they kind of go back and forth between talking about other things and also quoting what the owners of the theater says. So, mind me if you hear me stop, because I don't want to read. The only thing I want to read is what the theater owners say, and then we'll talk about it. Okay, so here we go. It is with great sorrow that I have to tell our customers that we will not be showing Beauty and the Beast at the Hennigar Drive-In when it comes out. When companies continually force their views on us, we need to take a stand. We all make choices, and I am making mine. For those that do not know, Beauty and the Beast is premiering their first homosexual character. If we cannot take our 11-year-old granddaughter and 8-year-old grandson to see a movie, we have no business watching it. If I can't sit through a movie with God or Jesus sitting by me, then we have no business showing it. I know there will be some that do not agree with this decision. That's fine. We are first and foremost Christians. We will not compromise on what the Bible teaches. I guess I will read this because the director of the movie, basically said that, LeFou is somebody who, on a day-to-day basis, either wants to be Gaston or he wants to kiss Gaston. So that was kind of the director's, take on LeFou or his kind of synopsis of the LeFou character for the new movie. So hold that thought on everything that I just read and said about the thing. I'll be honest. The other day, because it was just announced a day or two ago that LeFou was going to be a LGBT character, and as I've talked about on my channel a lot, I feel like Beauty and the Beast is my number one favorite Disney movie. Hands down, it will always be my favorite Disney movie. I feel like it's just notches above every other Disney movie, and that's not to say that other Disney movies aren't great. I mean, I love The Lion King and I love Aladdin, and I love The Little Mermaid, but that's just the one that speaks to me, and I feel because of all the talent that was involved in the original cartoon, whether it's Jerry Orbach or Paige O'Hara or Robbie Benson, no matter who it is, I just feel like the whole cast was just the best of the best. I mean, they got Broadway talent to sing these songs and to bring these characters to life, and I feel like it shows. But even though it's my favorite Disney movie, I am not afraid to new interpretations. I'm not afraid of playing around with it. When Alice in Wonderland came out, I was actually really excited for it, and if you go into it understanding what Tim Burton said about it, that it's not a remake, that it's actually a sequel to the original Disney movie, then the movie really works in that frame. Now, there are certain things in the movie that could have been done differently, and I would have preferred done differently, but as a whole, I feel like it works. And then you have movies like Maleficent that, you know, completely, because whereas Alice in Wonderland kind of, I feel like Alice in Wonderland is the athlete that catches the ball and drops it. Maleficent never had it, I don't think, you know, and I'm willing to say that, you know. I mean, I'm also somebody that will say that movie will be in my collection one day, just because it's a movie that Disney made, and I love Angelina Jolie as Maleficent. Maleficent, I think, is the best Disney villain. She's not my favorite, but I think she is the best Disney villain so far. I don't think they've created anyone as evil as she is. And the one thing that I hated about Maleficent is that they kind of took that away from her. But I loved seeing that character in live action, and I love seeing the fairies and everything else in it, you know. So, you know, it like I said, I don't have it right now, but it will be in my collection one day. But, you know, when it comes to Beauty and the Beast, you know, there's a lot of things that you have to recognize, you know, that before we get into this thing specifically, something that a lot of people that I've talked to about the live action version, some things that they don't realize is the movie's going to have to be longer. You know, the cartoon's only an hour and 45 minutes. You know, if that. I don't even think it's that long, you know. So it's like, you know, you're going to have to expand on the story. You're going to have to make it longer. You're going to have to add songs. That's just a given. So why not do something like this? You know, Disney has always been an open supporter of the LGBT community, you know, and, you know, the parks do gay day from time to time, and they do different things like that. And I think it's about time that we start on the characters that we can and the characters that make sense. I think it's about time that we start having LGBT Disney characters, and I think LeFou is a perfect character to do that with. So kind of tying into what I read and everything, because I wasn't really sure about how to feel about it at first, but then, you know, the more I thought about it, the more I was like, you know, I'm okay with this. You know, I really am okay with this, because it doesn't change things either way. You know, it doesn't make me disappointed. It doesn't make me excited. It doesn't, you know, Beauty and the Beast is still Beauty and the Beast, as long as the story, as long as the things in Beauty and the Beast happen that need to happen, everything else is sort of whatever to me. You know, it's like, you know, so I'm actually really interested to see what happens. So I've stated this before on the channel. You know, I myself as well consider myself a Christian. Now, I'm not a Bible thumper, and I'm definitely not as conservative as most Christians can be, at least the ones that get all the spotlight. I am definitely more liberal and open to different things, and here's what I'm going to say first, because this is the first thing that came to mind when I read this article. I have a problem with anyone of any religion, but especially Christianity, because I'm a part of it, and I feel like I'm one of you fuckers. So if you make me look bad, I'm going to come up against you, because that ain't cool. Because when people like you pull this shit, then everybody looks at me like I'm the same kind of Christian you are. So stop making me look bad. So I feel like it's completely fair for me to say this. It doesn't really matter what religion you are, but this is what I think. When you open a business, any fucking kind of business, whether it's running a movie theater, a bakery, a shopping center, it doesn't matter. You can't hold so tight to those beliefs if you want to be not only one, successful, but two, to expect people to want to shop at your store. Now, there's obviously exceptions to that rule. If you live in a more rural area, or you live in a population that you know is really Bible thumpy, then by all means cater to your, whatever you want to call it, your audience or your customers. But just in general, like you can't just do that. You when you open up a business, doing stuff like this is basically saying we only want business from people who think what we think. That's really what you're saying. You're like, if you disagree with us, don't come here. That's literally all you're doing. You are pushing dollar bills away from your business. And why run a fucking business if you don't want to make money? And it's a fucking movie. Not only that, it's a Disney movie. At the very least, that Disney at the very least puts out decent movies. Yeah, I mean they how over the years they've had some disappointing movies. I mentioned Maleficent and Alice in Wonderland, but Disney's Disney. How the hell can you even pretend like it's okay to not show a Disney movie in your movie theater? It's Disney. And here's my problem too is, Christians like that, conservative Christians like these people, want to pretend like they don't indoctrinate their children, that they want, their grandchildren or their children to believe in Jesus and believe in God because they want to. But this is the kind of shit that goes completely against that. This is the kind of stuff that shows you that that's not true. If you have raised your child right and the way that they're quote unquote supposed to go, which is what the Bible says, raise your children on the way that they're supposed to be, going, then I feel like if you're one of these Christians, a movie like this, Beauty and the Beast, is the perfect movie to test the waters. And again, this isn't me promoting anti-LGBT stuff at all, because I'm Christian and I'm gay. So, but hear me out on this. I think this is the perfect example of a time where these kinds of Christians and people that believe what they think, because when they're talking about, an 8-year-old and an 11-year-old specifically, come on. If these kids, especially if they go to public school, they know a thing or two about a thing or two, especially the 11-year-old especially. And especially if they watch YouTube like every other kid and they're on the internet all the time like every other kid. Why not take the chance and go see this movie and have it open up a dialogue? Because here's the thing. For all we know, because most of us haven't seen, unless you're a movie critic or something and you're able to see this movie early, none of us have seen this movie yet, right? So are you going to judge a whole movie on what? 30 seconds? 1 minute? 2 minutes? 5 minutes? Even 10 minutes of screen time? A whole movie? I think that's ridiculous. You're not taking your kids to a porno. You're not taking your kids to an R-rated movie. It's fucking Beauty and the Beast. Get over yourselves. You're not that important. And I'm sorry, in the way these people are acting, they think what they're doing is loving and kind and what Jesus would want, For those of us that do believe that Jesus was a real person, that we're supposed to follow his teachings, I can tell you verbatim, this is not what he would have wanted at all. And I'm appalled. These are the kind of things that make me think about not wanting to be a Christian anymore, is because of people like this. Because people get their pantyhose in a bunch and their panties in a bunch over the most ridiculous things. You know, it's so stupid to me. So that's my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comments below, whether you agree or disagree with me. I think it's ridiculous. It's like, come on, really? It's like, love your neighbor, okay? You know, love your neighbor. Don't be a dick, all right? And make some money. Just play the fucking movie. Seriously. You know? Yeah. And you know what? I'm somebody that used to work at a movie theater. You know, my favorite thing to do at the movie theater was working box office. I saw, you know, I actually worked the weekend that Fast 5 came out, okay? And if you only knew, just in that one theater, how much money the theater I worked at made. Just that one theater. Now, granted, a lot of that money, you know, goes back to the studios and all that kind of jazz. But I'm just saying, the money that rakes in, okay? All that money. And I know Fast 5 isn't a Disney movie, but I'm just saying. Or you know what? This is a Disney movie. I'll say this. Do you know how many people came to the theater to go see Lion King when it was re-released in 3D? And Beauty and the Beast when it was released in 3D. Both of them. So many people came. It wasn't as much as Fast 5, but tons of people came to go see that in 3D. Even though they had it at home and could watch it anytime they wanted to come see this movie in the theater to have that experience. You are turning away so much money by doing something like this. Not only are what you doing stupid on a social level, but it's stupid on a business level. Blah. Just drives me nuts. Alright, moving on. Finally to something happy. Logan. So here's where I tell you, if you don't want to be spoiled, if you haven't seen the movie yet, then go away. Come back. And there are also 2 reviews up. 1 spoiler, 1 review, 1 non-spoiler that I did. So, you know, if you want to hear my thoughts on the movie before you go see the movie, go watch my non-spoiler review. Or my spoiler-free review, that's what I call it. And then after you see the movie, you can either come here and listen, or you can go watch my other video if you want to hear me talk about the movie more. So, yeah. Wait a few seconds, make sure everybody's clicked off, and we're good. Alright, so, if you're still here, talking about Logan now. So, just to be a dick, I'm just going to say this first. Logan and Professor X both die in this movie. Wah! Gotcha. Yep, they do. Both of them die. Yep. How's that? Okay. Alright, now, everybody... Okay, cool. Now I can talk about the movie freely. Yay! This movie wrecked me. Okay? This movie is fantastic. You know, in my spoiler review, towards the end of it, I start getting emotional and I kind of start to cry a little bit, or I get a gulp in my throat. It's really it was real. I didn't start to cry. I started to gulp up. And I've never done that in a review before. And I kind of wanted to talk about it for a second, because I wanted to kind of explain what was going through my head at that time. And I kind of said it in the video, but I am a very I can tend to be a very what's the word I'm looking for? Like, I take things for granted a lot, you know? It's like I don't think about things, you know, very much, you know, like I should. You know, when you just get used to something and it always being there and stuff like that. And that's sort of been like the pattern of a lot of my life, you know. I take what comes to me without really ever thinking about it. And you know, I knew I mean, Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart have always been favorite actors of mine. You know, I mean, my dad is a big Star Trek fan, so you know, I grew up with the Next Generation in the house, and I remember seeing Hugh Jackman in the first X-Men movie when it came out. You know, I mean, I remember when it came out. You know, and I loved him in Kate and Leopold, and I loved him and everything that was in Swordfish, and just on and on and on and on. And X-Men was one of my favorite animated series growing up. You know, I never read the comics, but I loved the series to no end, and I had the Sega Genesis game, you know, growing up. I loved the X-Men, you know, especially growing up when I was little. You know, I had glasses, and I really loved Cyclops. You know, Cyclops and Wolverine, those were my two dudes. You know, I loved them. Behind them was Nightcrawler and Gambit. You know, those were my four dudes. I loved them. Those were my favorite characters. And so when the movies came out, my only disappointment with any of the movies was the fact that we still haven't seen Gambit. Well, we did in Origins, but we don't talk about that one. So, you know, but I mean, I guess initially, you know, we didn't get to see Gambit, and so that was, you know, my only disappointment. But, you know, everything else about that first movie was so good. You know, I mean, you had, you know, Toad, you had Storm, and, you know, James Marsden was so great as Cyclops, and Famke Jensen was amazing as Jean Grey. But then you've got Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, and you've got Patrick Stewart as Xavier. And I knew from the minute that those trailers came out, even as a kid, you know, when Patrick Stewart as Xavier was the perfect casting for this character. Then you got Ian McKellen for Magneto. I mean, how could you get any better? So in that moment, when I'm doing my review earlier, knowing that this is their last go round, it really just kind of, it hit me, you know. It hit me at the worst fucking time. It's like when the camera's rolling and you're trying to do a review, that's when it decides to hit me. There was nothing I could do about it, because it was a genuine, real, raw moment. And, you know, I wasn't going to post it. I'm not going to lie. When I came home, I did another completely different review that was a little bit shorter and more concise. I just talked about 3 moments of, you know, of the movie, you know, and it's really end and done, you know. But I called, you know, my friend Steven, that's been on Casket Conversations again, and he hasn't seen the movie yet, but I asked him, I was like, you know, I did, you know, this happened. What do I do? And he's like, you need to post the first one. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Damn it. Because look, you can't go out on a finer note than what they did in this movie. You know, I mean, I knew this movie was going to be good. I didn't know it was going to be that good. This really is the X-Men movie, the Wolverine movie that you didn't know you wanted. You know, I said that in my review, and I'll say it again. It really is the movie you didn't know you wanted. But you do. And actually, before I go to bed tonight, I'm going to watch the first X-Men movie, you know, just to kind of reminisce and think about it even a little bit more. You know, because something that I don't talk about on my channel a lot, so consider this sort of a special insight for those of you that do pay attention to Casket, is, you know, for me, watching movies is a spiritual kind of thing, you know. It's, I've said this before to some of my friends, and I'll say it again, and it might sound sacrilegious, but that I have gotten more out of watching movies over my life than I have ever at church, or, you know, hearing a pastor preach, you know. You know, when I'm alone and by myself and I'm watching a movie, or if I'm at a theater with friends or something, but when I'm locked into that moment with these moving pictures and these actors that are portraying these characters on screen, I tend to go to a place, and that's why I get so butthurt, and that's what it is. And I'll be honest, but that's why I get so butthurt when I hear people talk bad about the Hobbit movies, because it's like, what you don't understand is, for me, somebody who loves Tolkien and somebody who loves Middle Earth, and Tolkien is the one human being that I know way too much about. Way too much about. Because when I read Lord of the Rings for the first time, it hit me on a level. And the movies hit me on a level. And whether people want to face it or not, there is nothing in those Hobbit movies that shouldn't be there. The only thing that I will give, just because I'm nice, is the love story between Tauriel and the One Dwarf, because that's not in the books. But literally everything else is. Maybe not in the Hobbit book, the one that we all grew up reading, but it's in the appendices, which Tolkien considered. If you know anything about Tolkien, you know he considered all of those things canon, because it wasn't like, he never considered it like separate information. It was more like, because to him, Middle Earth, he did everything he did with Middle Earth because he felt like he created a real place. So you kind of have to look at it like the appendices were the history of the stories, if that makes any sense at all. And so, those things are real. Those things are part of the story. They're not in the books, but they're very much part of the world. So the fact that Peter Jackson was able to do the stuff with Gandalf that he did, and do the stuff that he did with Legolas and Tauriel, I love that. And because of the fact that, here's the other thing that a lot of people don't really think about is, I don't know if it's just Warner Brothers or just Hollywood in general, but the only stories that can be told of Tolkien's work right now is The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. And Tolkien has many other stories. And he's even got cabinets full of ideas for stories that he never got around to writing. And so Jackson, knowing what the fans wanted, decided to put as much into those movies as he possibly could. Because we ain't got any idea when we're going to get something else. But going back to Logan, these movies are special. Even the ones that are a little bit not great. Like, honestly, aside from Origins, because Origins will always be the worst. I'm sorry, Gavin Hood, but it just always will be. So aside from Origins, the bottom two for me are Apocalypse and The Last Stand. I actually really liked the other James Mangold Wolverine. I love Days of Future Past and First Class. X2 is, well, now it's under Logan, but X2 for the longest time was my favorite X-Men movie. And then you got the first one. You can't get, the first one was really fucking good, So, these movies are great. They're just fun. They're just fun movies, Yeah, it was kind of crazy because it's like, Hugh Jackman really is an actor in my top 5 actors, I love his work, whether it's Real Steel or The Prestige, or him as Wolverine. He's just always able to play such great characters and give them heart. I like Australia too. I feel like that's a really underrated film that he's in. Australia is an amazing movie. Yeah, and then you got Patrick Stewart and everybody else that's in this movie. I mean, you've got Stephen Merchant, just Boyd Holbrook, was great as one of the villains, and this was just such a really good movie, and it hit me in a place where I didn't expect it, and I hope that maybe it'll hit a lot of other people in that place too, especially with Logan's last words to Laura, and everything like that. And that last shot that they get the movie on is such a powerful image that I know it'll stay with me for a long time. And I can't wait for this to come out on Blu-ray, because it'll definitely be one that I want to get. So with that said, I'm going to end it here. Thanks for listening. I try to have these out every Saturday. Sometimes I don't. But it also depends on topics. If I don't feel like I can talk about something for a good enough while, I don't on those weeks as well. But yeah. Like I said, leave comments down below. Try not to be a douche, but feel free to say what you want. I'm interested on everybody's thoughts, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram, and if you're not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel, because I'm trying to get up there and stuff. And if you have any opinions on the channel, things you want to see, let me know, because I might do it. And I will say, be expecting some trailer reactions next week. I'm going to be posting my Pirates reaction for the last one that came out, and Alien Covenant, and a few others, but I just didn't get around to doing it the last couple of days. It's been crazy, so I apologize. But with that said, see you guys later. Have a fantastic weekend, and I will see you guys back on Monday. Peace out.